It's actually happening. David Stearns bringing up a minor league prospect like he promised, but it might not be who you think nor why you may think it. And fans are excited to see a young prospect, but they're still anxiously awaiting the debut of some of our top prospects like David Stearns promised, which is exactly what we're going to get into only here on Mets Digest. I'm your host today, Mike Duda. We're going to talk about this promotion, but first we got to talk about some subscribers, and that being the fact that 69.9% of you that watch these videos aren't one. So please do me a favor, do us a favor here on Mets Digest, and hit that free subscribe button. That way we can bring content to you about the amazing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. And like I've said before, specifically when we were talking about the trade deadline, go ahead and check out my reaction video if you haven't already. David Stearns said if he wasn't going to get a starting pitcher at the trade deadline, that the president of baseball ops and the Met front office was going to call up a top prospect like Brandon Sproat or Nolan McLean to fill in the starting rotation when necessary. And we all thought after yesterday's debacle from Frankie Montas going 4 innings, giving up 7 earned runs, now having a near 7 ERA, that today was finally the day we were going to get one of them, either the number 4 prospect or the number 5 prospect in our system, but it's actually a different person and for a different reason. So let's go ahead and dive right in. The new person is Dom Hamel, as Anthony Tacoma of MLB.com confirms it amongst plenty of other sources. Roster move. The Mets have called up Dom Hamel and optioned Austin Warren. We'll get into that in just a second, but first, here it is. It is official. It is now on the Met transaction website. New York Mets optioned Austin Warren to AAA Syracuse and selected the contract brought up right-handed pitcher Dom Hamel from the Syracuse Mets. So, let's take a look here at Austin Warren's stats. Why did he get optioned? You think, oh, 0.96 ERA in 9 1/3, a whip that's at the exact same. He's been awesome. Why would you DFA? Why would you option him? That makes no sense. He even has a win. He's 1-0, right? No. It's not what you think it may be, because yesterday he threw a ton. He threw great. Gave up just 2 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 5 Ks over 4 innings. But he threw 58 pitches and did great too. 36 of them strikes. That's a 62.1% strike rate. He did phenomenal. Every single time Austin Warren has come up and was asked to do a job, he has done his job well. So good for Austin Warren. He's been great for us, but he simply has thrown too many pitches. And we'll get into it now with the experts. Turning it over to SNY, it's Danny Abriano, who says a day after Austin Warren pitched 4 scoreless innings in relief during the Mets' blowout loss to the Giants 12-4, New York is calling up a fresh arm. Right-hander Dom Hamel is getting promoted from AAA Syracuse, with Warren getting optioned. Hamel, 26 years of age, will be making his major league debut if or when he gets into a game and when he makes his appearance. But why? Well, it's what he calls a revolving door of the 8th spot. That is why Austin Warren is being sent down. As Abriano says, with the Mets bullpen recently bolstered by trades that brought in late inning arms and big arms like Ryan Helsley, Tyler Rogers, and Gregory Soto, joining the likes of Edwin Diaz, Reed Garrett, Brooks Raley, and Ryan Stanek, all of these guys, veteran pitchers, established Major League Baseball pitchers, 100% going to stay on the big league roster, will never be demoted. The 8th spot in the pen has been a revolving door of sorts lately. Rico Garcia held the spot last week. Then he got DFA'd. We made a reaction video on that. Go check it out if you haven't already. But of course, he was DFA'd. Warren was called up yesterday, but he threw a ton, and now the Mets need a new 8th inning guy. They can't get Garcia because, as you might have heard in that video if you've watched it, due to the way that DFAing works and the laws and the rules of that, you can't go out and get Garcia back yet. Therefore, you don't have Garcia, you don't have Warren. A lot of your other 8th guys, that would be that 8th spot in the pen, they're hurt like a Max Kranick. So you have to turn to a prospect, and they're not going to turn to a top prospect to start off in the bullpen. That top prospect is obviously going to be a starting pitcher, so they're going to Dom Hamel. Now, onto the prospect outlook really quick for Mr. Hamel. He was a top prospect for a while. As you can see, he was drafted in the 3rd round back in 2021, and he was a top prospect for a while. When you get drafted, you don't go on to MLB Pipeline's top 100 yet, or top 30 for a specific team. But in 2022, right when he was able to go on the Mets top 30, he was inked in the top 10, getting the number 9 spot, was also 9th in 2023, then was 14th in 2024, took a drop, and took an even steeper drop this year, now 27th in the Mets system out of the top 30 according to MLB Pipeline. So let's get into why. You'll see it from the statistics, but let's do a prospect outlook first. He's 26 years of age, 6'2", 206, a double righty, as we said, third round pick of the Mets back in 2021. ETA, of course, this year he has been called up, so that ETA is correct. Fastball grade on a 20 to 80 scale, 80 being the best, 20 being the worst. He's got a 55 fastball, 45 curve, 55 slider, 45 change, 45 cutter, 40 control for an overall 40 prospect. So let's go ahead and turn it over to MLB.com, who's got you covered on the prospect outlook. Hamel set a Dallas Baptist single-season record with 136 strikeouts in his final spring on campus in 2021, and after going undrafted 3 times, he finally entered the pros as a third-round pick of the Mets that summer after a dominant collegiate senior year. He dominated with strikeouts with 305 combined in his first 2 seasons. That's over 150 per season average. 8th most in the minors in 2022 and 2023, and ascended to AAA Syracuse for the first time in 2024, only for the wheels to fall off. Now, there's a reason why he was the number 9 prospect back-to-back years. He was doing really, really well in all of the single-A levels and in double-A, but he went to triple-A and just wasn't very good, and that's why he's now the number 27 prospect in the Mets system as a third-round pick, opposed to something in the top 15, maybe the top 10. His 6.79 ERA and 175 WHIP each ranked 24th out of 25 triple-A qualifiers, while his 13.2% walk rate placed 23rd. Very much so bottom half of most of this. In fact, he is in less than the 10th percentile in both of those statistics. Not very good. But let's dive into the rest of them. Whether it was the move to the Major League ball or work with the automated strike zone, it was clear that Hamel struggled at the minors top level. ABS was introduced when he was getting to AAA, so maybe, like MLB.com is saying might be the case, it could be the case. It might actually have influenced him in a negative way. There are still individual pieces that work in his arsenal. However, his 91 to 94 mile an hour fastball may play closer to average velocity, but it still rides up well in the zone, leading some batters to cut underneath it. Pop up, therefore pop the ball up. But that, of course, could be a problem if instead of getting underneath it, a batter finds a lot of barrel on it and launches one into the seats or for extra bases. His 79 to 82 mile an hour sweeping slider, that's a fun one, also comes in with high spin and can get batters chasing out of the zone, especially righties. That's good. That means he has a good working off-speed pitch that he can use for chases. His mid-80s changeup had his highest whiff rate, which is interesting. Usually don't see, especially right-handers with a great changeup. Well, he's got a solid changeup. Of course, it has the highest whiff rate, but it might be too firm to be an average option while batters feasted on his upper 80s cutter. Hamel also still has a mid-70s curveball he'll use when ahead in the count, but of course he has to get ahead in the count, and like we heard earlier, he's got a bad walk rate, 13.2%, which is abysmal. Therefore, he's probably not getting ahead in the count enough, and he won't be able to use that curveball. Last thing about him is a little bit more on the transaction side of things. Hamel may have been getting too fine at times in AAA, but it's a tough balance because batters prove they can hit his stuff in the zone too. So what are you going to do? Throw the ball out of the zone and walk everybody, or throw it in the zone and get crushed? It's a lose-lose. He went unprotected and unpicked while in Rule 5 eligibility in the offseason and will return to the minors top level with something to prove. A move to relief may not be far off in his age 26 season. And well, he was a starting pitcher, but of course he's now being called up as the 8th man in that Met bullpen. Of course, as a bullpen arm, he will indeed be a reliever right now in his time with the New York Mets. Now, before we get into stats, something to prove was something that struck me, and it seems to have struck Hamel. He said before coming in today to Citi Field, I'm trying not to leave them a choice. I don't want to go back to AAA. I'm thinking I'm up here for a reason. Now, when I saw this on X, I saw a lot of comments that were basically saying, hey, you're a AAA pitcher. You're only here because the Mets have nobody to use as their 8th inning guy. And yes, that is true. But hey, I give him credit. I give him credit for being confident, saying, hey, I want to be here. I want to stay here. I do agree that when you go back to the quote and it says, I'm thinking I'm up here for a reason. Yeah, your reason is because the Mets need a 8th guy in that bullpen. But still, you have the opportunity. It was you instead of other prospects. So why not go ahead and prove the Mets wrong? I don't mind an aggressive mentality whatsoever because he's hungry. He wants it. And hopefully he will pitch really well. As let's turn it over to the quick statistics. Not very good this year 4-5 with a 4.73 ERA in 22 games. 8 games started, so obviously he had a shift to the bullpen, and that worked because now he is a bullpen arm, of course, with the Mets in 53 1/3 innings pitched, 59 Ks, so over a 9 strikeout per 9, which is solid. 126 whip, which isn't awful. He just gets hit hard, which means the walk should be down, which is a good thing, but he's getting hit hard like we've heard in those prospect outlooks. Overall, not much better in his minor league career at 463 in 102 games and 424 innings pitched with a 137 whip, and you'll see why here. He was dominant, and I mean dominant to start off his career. Pitched 3 scoreless innings in rookie ball in 2021, a 3.25 ERA in 2022, and a 3.85 in 2023. It's not dominant, but it's solid. Definitely solid. Really, really good there in 2022 when he was first in single A, high A, and low A, and then got called up to double A. Worked well in 2023 in double A, but then he hit triple A, and a 6.79 ERA that you heard earlier, and that 4.73 this year is also not much better. A lot of walks, including 77 last year, but like we saw on the quick stats, the whip is down a little bit because the walks are down. He's only walked 15 batters in 53 innings, which if you compare that to last year, it would be about 30. He's pitched about half the innings that he has this year compared to last year. So this year, he'd be averaging 30 walks in the amount of innings that he pitched last year, which is really, really good. That is down significantly. That is more than half of the walks, which is good. He's getting the walks down. He's still being hit pretty hard, but I don't mind that considering he's not walking as many batters. So we'll see how he does at the MLB level when he comes up. Go down there in the comment section. Let me know, do you agree with Hamel being called up specifically as opposed to maybe a Huascar Brosban, who I'm not 100% sure if he actually is able to be called up because I don't know if he was sent down recently enough or if he spent enough time in the minor leagues to be able to get that call back to the bigs. But let me know, would you rather have someone else like a veteran like a Brosban or someone else like maybe a Chris Stavinsky? Let me know if you thought that the Mets made the right move here by bringing up a prospect in Hamel. Let me know how excited you are for eventually getting Brandon Sproat and or Nolan McLean here on this big league roster. Let me know what you think about Frankie Montas. Is it time to move on from him? I mean, it's worth a shot to bring in a guy like Hamel when you have Montas who's struggling, and even in the bullpen, Ryan Stanek has been really, really, really bad of late. So hopefully Hamel gets his chance sometime soon, maybe tonight. I'll be at the game tonight, rooting on my Metsies. So thank you so much always for watching. Let's go Mets as always. Hopefully, especially tonight, they go out and get a victory and they break this poor stretch. And thank you so much always for watching, and let's go Mets.